Guten Morgen. Morgen.
Good morning.
Every time. Guten Morgen and Cameron.
Thank you.
Good morning.
And everyone listening. Guten Morgen.
All five of you. Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. It's morning.
God.
So yeah, we had to change up the intro because it's morning time on a Tuesday.
Bang.
And
It actually is.
we're on episode 11. We're not joined by a guest today. We're on our own. We're on our lonesome. We're going to figure it out.
You are our guest.
As a team. You are our guest. Be our guest.
Breaks out in the song.
Yeah. Cue music.
Be our guest. Sorry.
That's all right. You can
What are we
copy
doing?
anything that I do in false chords if you like. I've just realized that camera looks like it's on a serious
I
angle
did say
over
this.
We can do that in post and change it.
there.
I
Okay.
can do it now if you want.
Do you want to do it?
She
now?
said.
Do some-
No, it's all right. It's all right. Leave it. We'll be slightly not straight for this entire episode.
We're way ahead of you there, mate. Why am I pushing the water away? Come back.
Okay, so all right, forget about that. That's going to kill all of our OCD the whole episode. But
It
that
was
doesn't
pissing
matter.
me off before we even
we had to
started.
fix your trucks, dude. Look
Yeah.
at that. You can't. Viewers can't see it, but that just kills me.
Yeah, your
What
door handle.
I own a house, and the apprentice did not know how to put doorknobs on straight, and every doorknob in my house is like, just like.
It's a handle.
I almost want to email him and be like, "What the hell is this?"
I want to send an email.
I'm going to send an email via the computer system. I'm nearly 30. Shut up.
Yeah,
I'm going to be one of these cunts that starts doing Yelp reviews.
yeah, you
The
are.
KFC in North Lakes isn't very good.
Call me Karen Darcy.
me Karen. It's like Cameron Darcy. It's Karen.
Well, yes.
Anyway.
So housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping. We need it. Yeah, we should
Room
really make. I'm going to make some
Consuela.
jingles. I'm going to make some jingles for that.
Housekeeping. I come join. Anyway.
So we've
What is
been
housekeeping?
we've been doing all the usual stuff. A little bit of sort of very recent news is that the entire contents of the world's rain decided to sit above Brisbane City for the last 4 days, and has taken us back to another 1 in 100 years that only happened 10 years ago flood.
Yeah, so
Not wrong, though.
yeah, that happened right as I ran out of food too. So obviously I do once a week shopping, and right on a very last day, just finished the last bit of chicken breast and everything in the fridge. All the vegetables are gone, and it starts raining. I'm like, oh, that's raining really heavy. And then because I don't really watch TV, so I don't follow the weather or news or anything like that, so I had no idea. And then 2 days later, I'm like, fuck, it's really raining. And then my Coles delivery got cancelled, Woolies delivery and all that got cancelled, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just drive down there. Nope. Flooded everywhere, can't get out of my estate. And I'm like, okay. So we had to live off effing takeout for bloody like 3-4 days before I could actually go to the shops.
And there's
I
hardly any
wasted-
people to bring you the food.
Yeah,
anyway,
I had to go
'cause
pick
no
it
one's
up
on the road.
Yeah, I had to go bloody pick it up in the rain and go like an alternate route to get to the freaking 7-Eleven up the road. And I just ate like crap the past freaking 4 days, but we're good
Yeah,
now.
it's terrible.
We
eh? It
get
was-
back on track.
It was sort of a reality check, though. A reality check. Anyway, I was like, yo, like, just how quickly shit can go wrong. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, 3 days ago, I'm just chilling, got my delivery of food coming, and we're all in the ecosystem and everything's all cool. And then a bit of rain comes, and next minute, I'm like, I have no food to feed myself. I don't have any vegetables in the
Yeah.
backyard. I'm not self-sufficient. I was like, holy crap, I'm so reliant on this system that is in place. And it just like, it was almost like little a glimpse at like if there was ever an apocalypse, how quickly shit would go bad. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, forget toilet paper, bro. I was like, when you don't have food, man, like, and then I went to Coles. When I finally got to Coles 4 or 5 days later, it was empty. There was nothing in there. There was no bread. There was
You
no
couldn't
anything.
literally get anything because all the roads were cut off. No one could even get to work. Like, it was just bad news.
You also see all the food that's on the shelves that no one likes, and it's like really obvious.
Yeah.
Like all the healthy option, the health aisle's full. All the healthy fucking food, no worries.
It's even
like,
on clearance because
even-
it's been sitting there for so
even in
long.
the apocalypse, people don't want to eat that shit. Fucking hell.
That's so true. But yeah, so it's been pretty devastating for some people. We're not trying to take it too kind of lighthearted, but it's like, what's the weather like out there, Ali? It's raining.
It's
Thanks,
raining
Ali.
sideways.
It's raining, man.
it was pretty much like that. Every single
was
weather person was just like, "It is raining out here and flooding." And
There's just one reporter that was being dramatic as fuck though. He was like, "I'm out here and I'm stranded." Da da da. Then like an hour later, he was in another location. I'm like, "So much for being stranded, bro."
yeah, it's like, dude, you got a helicopter waiting for you.
Yeah.
You're legit.
Channel 9 flies off on the ladder.
Yeah. So it's been pretty hectic to see, and but it's also made sure that we've, like Cam said, sort of reassessed kind of if an emergency strikes, you need to make sure that you've got your shit down.
I was playing a video game and the power went off and I was about to get the dub. And the fucking power went off.
Obviously.
I just got the banners, was reviving the squad in Apex Legends, and the power went off. And then and my mate texted me like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "My power went off." And he was like, "No!" So I lost a dub because of this fucking rain.
I just got my skateboard set up and I couldn't even go out in the rain. See, it's first world problems here. Really.
He offered me money to skate in my garage. That's how fucking badly his cunt wanted to skate.
Yeah, I really badly did. But we couldn't, and we were stuck inside. And I was actually learning how to grow vegetables and build my own soil base.
And then it all went. Did all your soil get destroyed?
Yeah, well, the garden soil did. The soil that I'm building is not destroyed because I'm doing it in big pots. So
I didn't know you were building soil or making.
You can't build soil, but
that's what you get of like the.
I'm learning.
I don't know anything about soil.
Well, I'm learning from
shit, right?
I'm learning from this guy who has a channel on YouTube called Build a Soil, which is why I'm calling it Building a Soil.
I was going to say it sounds odd saying build soil.
Yeah, but essentially you're just making sure it has all the right nutrient makeup.
Are you manuring it yourself? He just sits on the pot next to shit.
I've just got a bucket sitting outside.
Ricky, we're shitting in the pot now. We need to feed the soil.
Yeah, we're going full organic, baby.
But doesn't it actually work? Isn't human shit like really good for it? Isn't it?
Probably.
It depends on what you've put in the other side. Like with anything else. Like if you say, for example, my chickens and ducks, I know that they get fed vegetables and grains and eat bugs and whatever. So yeah, well, I do use it. It's not that I choose just to use theirs over mine. but yes, I do use theirs, and I do use a toilet.
Just for the viewers out there.
Yeah, just to make sure everyone's got the right picture in their head. And I've been learning, and you just get all the right nutrients. It helps you to grow stuff. Then you can just grow optimally. And depending on the conditions, like obviously you can do indoor grows where you can manipulate the temperature and all of this, but I'm trying to do it out in the sunshine that we haven't had much of as of late. So yeah, like basically I've just been trying to do that. It also meant that we were stuck inside, not nowhere to go. Everyone was kind of like, oh, this is like Mother Nature's lockdown.
Yeah.
But it gave us some stuff to do, work on a few ideas and things like that. But as we say, we're pretty lucky. Some people got messed up and we move. So
bang.
Next, what else been happening? You went out to a gig recently, you guys?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, well, for about
a local gig,
half an hour.
I was there for a lot longer, but
yeah. So we'll see in Disgust, Brisbane band. Are they Brizzy or Gold Coast? Disgust.
Brizzy?
I think weren't they Gold? Oh, anyway, Disgust. So they're sick. So
they're local.
Yeah, they were playing. And yeah, I'm just too old for gigs now. If the venue's not what I consider a good standard, I just got like tired and freaking ended up going home because the venue was like real echoey. It's like they didn't have any soundproofing up on the walls or nothing. It was like all brick and shit. So like we're hearing these bands play with blasting amps and cabs and PA speakers, and it's just complete. All I heard was just reverb, just bouncing off the walls. I was like, I can't hear the lyrics. I can't hear the guitar riffs. I was like, I can't hear shit. I'm like, it was just fucking noise. And I'm nearly 30 now, and I'm just like, fuck. I'm like, I'm not 18 anymore, man. I can't just get drunk and just like headbang in a bit anymore. I just don't care. I'm like, I will go to a gig if I can go there and enjoy the music and like get like headbang to some sick riffs and like get into it. But that particular venue, just for me, the
I think
audio
it's made for like quieter.
Yeah, it was just it was just noise, man. And I was like, I can't even talk to the person right next to me, let alone hear any of the riffs of what they're playing or hear the vocals or anything. It was just fucking.
From what I saw from pictures, it looked like it would suit an acoustic guitar and vocals.
I've seen acoustic people play there.
Yeah.
I've actually talked to some people who played
Yeah.
acoustic there, and that sounded way better. Like, it actually
it's
worked
intimate.
really well.
It's nice, like kind of dungeony looking
Yeah.
brick cave, which looks cool. But
I do love the venue, but
it's just like when you just got everyone, like you said, playing fully loud as they can.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're all playing in a washing machine.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
just couldn't talk to anyone. It was just
That's also the producer side of you as well, because having like you're going, the reverb, we should do some soundproofing in here.
yeah. No one's thinking about that.
Clear
eh?
up these frequencies and
Yeah.
stuff. Like that's the importance of
Well,
actually choosing a good venue to host.
Dude,
these
not
things.
only that, it's like it's so fucking easy to do. They could spend about $4,000, I reckon, on soundproofing that. Because you don't have the soundproof in the sense of in the walls. Like you can just put these acoustic padding things up, across, buy like 4 pairs of them, about $900 each, and you get like 12 of them, and you just chuck them up on the walls, space them out across, and then chuck some bass traps in the corners. That alone
Easy.
will do like massively, because it's not about soundproofing in regards to like making the sound quieter. It's about when the sound comes out of the speakers, when it hits the wall, instead of bouncing off the wall and bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, it gets absorbed by the foam padding, and it reduces it by like 50%, like how much is actually bouncing around the room.
Yeah.
And then it just makes everything clearer and more audible, and then in my case more enjoyable, because I can actually hear what they're playing and I can appreciate the music more. That's for
sure.
me anyway. Yeah.
It's the clarity. It's just clearing things up a little bit in
And
the
that
room,
venue's-
in the space. So
That venue's making money too, so it's not like they can't fucking buy that shit. It's like, come on, dude.
yeah, but if they're doing mostly acoustic gigs and then they have a metal,
I think they are.
well, if they
Craig's
have metal
played there.
bands that come in and say, "Hey, we want to use your venue. Here's some money," they'd be like, "Oh, we don't care. We'll take it regardless."
I
Yeah.
don't think they ever charge for door fees there. I've never had to pay to go to a gig there.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But it's 'cause
I think
their
they
drinks are like $15 a drink. Not really. I'm over exaggerating,
Yeah.
but it's expensive.
Are there some good venues out there that do have proper soundproofing?
The gig that I was talking about, Flaming Galah, before it went down,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
Flaming
sure that
Galah
had
was
some
great.
soundproofing on the walls, and that was a pretty decent.
Yeah, just some basic
Um,
stuff at least.
Not Woolly Mammoth. They probably do as well because they're a pretty big venue. Mansfield Tavern, I'm pretty sure was pretty decent.
Mansfield was decent, but it was a massive room.
Yeah, heaps of space.
I know
there.
a few clubs that do, and then obviously when they build new spaces in like Fortitude Music Hall and stuff like that for these big pro gigs,
Yeah.
obviously then when you start to go to these concert
They'll
halls,
probably
and shit, it's all-
temporarily throw it up for like the bigger bands and bigger DJs, right?
yeah. But like imagine say playing in a hall that's meant for like a massive orchestra. Like
Yeah.
a concert hall or something that's acoustically designed specifically for sound of like heaps of different textures and instruments and all this. You'd hear everything so clear. It'd be awesome. Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. But getting less tolerant at an older age
Oh my god.
is certainly something I can agree with, because
Yeah.
I notice that now I know what I like. I know what I like. It's easy for me to tell what I don't like, and
Yeah,
I've
your
got this.
standards are real set.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
like I understand what I'm doing more and the repercussions of that, and whether or not that's worth it to me in my time.
Yeah,
just become more-
when you're
yeah.
18, you don't care. 19, 20. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I had money, had a job. I was like, yeah, I can go out and spend $300 and wouldn't be denied still. But nowadays, I'm like, I got a home loan, I got rates, I got water bill, I got electricity. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
it's like I spent $100 and I'm like just twitching at my eye that I just spent $100 on fucking useless shit. That's not like I just don't have it in me anymore the way I used to. So and yeah, like I said, if the music isn't if I'm not vibing to the music, then I can't go sober, because I can easily go there and have 2 beers and just enjoy it. But again, I need to be able to audibly hear the music to have that to vibe off. If I'm not vibing off any energy, like that's the thing. I think that's a key thing too. Is like when you're 18, 19, 20, when I'm talking out of myself here, when I was younger, I could just bounce off my own energy. That young fucking energy where I was just doing whatever and I didn't need any specific thing to hype me up. But nowadays it's like I need to have good music to hype me up, or I need to be like drunk to hype me up, or like I need, good people laughing and conversations it needs to be something beer pong, shit like that. Something needs to be getting me out of my seat to like go. If I can't just get hyped up anymore over nothing. So
yeah, very good point. That's sick. Well, we've got a couple more things we can dive into. We're gonna do
The gig was good though. Just to round it up.
Yeah,
Let's
nothing to
up.
do with the bands,
You guys
obviously. I'm just talking
fucking
like
sick.
Who else was on the bill? Just real quick.
Hollowed Out.
Hollowed Out
There was another band I've never seen before.
Hang 'em High blew me away actually. Like
Sick.
obviously because of the venue as we were just talking. I'm sure they sound better everywhere else.
Yeah, in a nice
But
acoustically
they were
treated.
dope. Like
Sick.
I think you left before they came on. But
There was a band switching over, and there were like 2 songs in. When
I
left.
think it might have been Hang 'em High then. But yeah, they were cool. I can't remember the other guys because we rocked up a bit later and missed them. But they're the 3 I saw. So Hollowed Out, Hang 'em
cool.
High, and Disgust.
Very good. Shout out to those guys. Get a better venue.
Sick.
Sorry, I wasn't there, so it's not even fair. For me
Yeah, I
to
know,
say
right?
that. So, whatever. Anyway, so we got two more things that we can probably go through a little bit. One is we're going to do a bit of a review of your Axe effects. And sort of go through a few things to do with that. But I might sort of take the opportunity to jump in for story time first.
Yeah, because the Axe Effects will be a bit longer. So
And obviously I'm much more interesting than an Axe effects.
1, 2, 3, go.
I'm not as fast as an Axe effects. Wait. So essentially for story time this week, I'm just going to go back and explain a little bit about one of the cool musical and cultural experiences I had the pleasure of embarking on in 2008, which was to be part of the Beijing Olympic conglomerate or bunch of musos that got picked to go overseas and play at various events to do with the Olympics, which was very cool and exciting. I was very grateful to have the opportunity that I got. I don't really honestly know how I got it, but I was made aware through school and through the school music programs that were like, hey, people are being trialed out. We're going to take a certain selection from Australia and basically we're going to learn some music here. We're going to learn some marching steps because it was a marching band. That was kind of the idea. And we're all going to then bring these bits and pieces together and meet up in China, do a week of rehearsals with everyone in the band, and then do a week of performances. So there was about 2,000 people in the whole thing, made up of
a lot of drums.
Oh, dude! Oh, not all drums. So in the drum line, there's the marching snare drum. There's the bass drum, which can come in all different sizes as well.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. You can also have what's called tenor drums, which is essentially toms on this rack in front of you. Then you got people with cymbals. You can have all sorts, but that's just sort of the main thing. You got people with flags, which just wave them around and stuff.
That's the triangle equivalent of just like...
I'm just kind of like, these people with flags.
Mom, I got into the band. What do you play? The flag.
The flag.
What?
I'm the guy, I wave a flag around. Yeah, okay, sorry.
Just be happy for me, Mom.
It's actually quite big. It's quite a big responsibility in other parts of the world. So maybe if you are in part of the world that actually, rates a flag bearer, then let us know what your responsibilities and roles are, and we'll move you higher up the list.
Jesus.
I'm joking.
I'm sure we're having people that fucking hold flags watching this podcast.
Yeah, this
is going to be the one that blows up now, and then we'll have a bunch of flag bearers coming to us.
Fun with flags, Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah. So essentially that, then there's a whole bunch of brass, trumpets, trombones, saxophones, all of the above, right? So it's massive. We had to have, when we were rehearsing, you had to have 5 conductors up on podiums spread out by like 50 to 100 meters apart who were all watching each other to try and conduct at the same time, to try and conduct the whole people.
Jesus.
And imagine this, right? I was playing marching snare drum. So it was me. And then to my left, there was probably 15 other snare drums. And to my right, 15 other snare drums. And then maybe in front of me would have been the tenors or something like this or whatever. There's all the drums. So there's so many of us playing the same instrument. Like, the three of us could try and like clap together in a rhythm, and there'd be so much flamming going on, like so much like rhythm going out here and there. Like you imagine the time that it takes for sound to travel along the line to get these 30 or 40 snare drums, let alone 2,000 bloody people in an orchestra to sound good together. Bro, like I'm just going to have to take other people's word for it that it sounded good, because all I could hear was snare drums. Literally the entire trip. So that was really interesting, but they were grueling, man. It was like really hot. They made us stand out in the concrete for hours and hours on end all day.
Sounds like the army.
All day, bro. There's people like literally just fainting with their equipment on, just falling to the floor.
Bloody hell.
It was like, holy crap. They fed us literally just rice the whole time. But in saying that, you know, everyone was really hospitable that looked after us, considering you're looking after 2,000 pretty much
that's
kids.
a lot of mouths to
and, you know, all the people that came with it. So, you know, big thing to do. But we played, so once we'd done all the rehearsals and stuff, we then did various performances. We were the first, like, people to perform in Tiananmen Square, which I don't know, can't really remember the significance of that, but apparently that was a big deal. Then we played on the Great Wall, which was also sick. That's how I learned to spin my sticks in the back of the bus for hours and hours, because it took us so long to drive out there to literally stand on the wall. It was really cool though, really, really awesome. And, you know, traveling around like through Beijing, Shanghai as well, we played some places. It was awesome to see, like, because you never get to see that kind of culture like deep into China and all of these places, like just going through on a bus tour, just seeing how other people live. And like, granted, we're a bunch of Western people, you know, with nice clothes and whatever, like, or, you know, we're like typical tourists rolling through. It was kind of like awesome to go into the markets and just see all these people with, you know, fried scorpions and all this weird stuff that you don't normally see and trial out. Would you actually?
I'd try it.
If it wasn't poisonous.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're like literally like deep fried.
They eat some weird shit. They eat poisonous fish and they cut out the poison from the fish before they eat it.
It's a puffer fish.
I
normally know the name, but I can't
There's
think of it.
There's so many live like animals and things that they're delicacies, and they just, you know, serve them up on the side of the street, and just even just seeing how people live and stuff. It was really eye-opening, especially at that kind of age.
Cool.
But then sick few other events and stuff, played some stuff. That was pretty much my drumming experience at school, and then taken worldwide. So very, very cool.
Dope.
It's awesome.
I think like the takeaway, or like main kind of takeaways from something like that, is to now looking back, I wish I'd sort of spent a little bit more taking it in, but you can't at
You're
that
pretty young, man. You wouldn't have been able to appreciate like the culture and what you were actually seeing. Like you wouldn't have, I doubt you would have Googled what the Great Wall of China was and the history behind it, something to do with Mongolians or some shit.
Yeah, and you know, like there was people like there telling us stuff, right?
The Mongolian keeps coming and he's just like barely touching it. He's just like throwing little rocks at it, and then the Chinaman's like, "God damn Mongolian, get away from my wall!" We're gonna get cancelled for that, but fuck it, it's funny.
That's funny.
South Park. Everyone knows South Park.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but I was like more interested in just going and like playing drums and doing other stuff and chatting to Americans and things like this instead of listening to the history. So I wish I'd done a little bit more of that. But in saying that, like I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was sick. So that's pretty much my story.
That's awesome.
I wish I could do something like that again, but probably won't happen.
Well, when we're touring, bro, don't worry about it.
When
Distilled Views going wild.
Worldwide.
What was I trying to say?
Going walled.
Well, going worldwide. Prestige worldwide. Wide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Prestige worldwide.
Yeah.
I sort of had, same sort of experience, but not with playing or anything. Just when I went to Thailand, it was sort of just cool seeing like other people, how they live and stuff, and just how similar Thailand people are to Aussies. Like so fucking laid back, don't give a fuck, just drink and have fun and talk shit, and you know, everyone there is just like drives cars like a fucking maniac. Like everyone's speed demons and shit.
The
like,
rules are very relaxed in certain ways, but they have, other cultural parts that are
the
more
complete
sort
opposite.
Of, yeah, exactly.
It's either really fucking strict or not at all. It's like
yeah, dude. It's like, but they're like you said. It's just to see these people with pretty much nothing compared to what we have, and still be super smiley and happy and laid back.
It's all by perspective though. Like when you are surrounded by something from when you grow up, you're just like, oh, that's just normal. But there's, is no, there's no ideology of like, oh, they have it better than I do. You don't even know. You just like, that's just becomes normal. That's why rich people can still get depressed. It's like, yeah, people are like, oh, but you're rich. You have everything. And it's like, yeah, well, that's just normal for them. Being rich is like being rich to us. The people that are fucking broke. We're like, oh, that would be awesome. But like, if we were rich and we already had all that shit, we'd still be fucking sad. Like, doesn't.
Yeah.
It's sort of just. It's like a perspective sort of thing. I think. But
it's true.
It's true.
Yeah. So I think it's more like wealth doesn't equal like actual richness. Richness in life is something different. And
take it away, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Take that. Run with it. Tell your psychiatrist and meditate.
There you go.
Why does that sound like a tattoo? Tell your psychiatrist to meditate.
I should probably get that somewhere on me.
It's a bumper sticker for my car.
So Axifix time or what?
Yeah, Axifix time. Do you want to break down for the ladies and gentlemen the beautiful piece of gear that we've been using for the last
probably should have
long.
unplugged it and brought it.
So we're just gonna as we go along talk about obviously what gear we use, and I've already touched on it a few times, but sort of more of an updated version of just how it was like when we first got it and how I've been learning it and how, actually review the gear itself in case anyone does want to, look up into getting any gear for themselves if there's any musicians listening or other bands and blah, blah, blah.
Should we talk about what it is first?
Yeah, so it's a amp simulator as well as, it's a tone modeler. It emulates cabinets, like real life cabs, real life amps, real life pedals, distortion pedals, reverb pedals, delays. Like essentially it can generate all sorts of different guitar tones, like thousands of different guitar tones and different guitar chains, like effects chains, without you having to lug around.
Yeah, all in one convenient little package.
You see these old school dudes that just like have spent way more money in their years than the Axifix cost, because I've heard the first thing I can say is I heard a lot of people say, oh, it's so expensive. I'm like, dude, for what you get, it'll last for so many years, way more years. You don't have to lug or anything around. You get way more in value of what the $200 pedal you bought from fucking Manny's, that does one specific type of delay. This thing can do the same thing, but in 50 other ways, plus different reverbs and different this and EQs and bloody, you name it, right?
And it updates too as well.
And it updates, and you get the free updates with the, as they update the firmware, you download the updates and you get even more stuff. And it's when I first got it, I was real confused. And even as a producer, I was still just like, I have no idea how to work around this thing. And I wasn't sure if I'd, made the right choice. Maybe I should have gone something like, my dog is in the background getting out of the bed.
I heard him.
Get out of the bed!
Get out of the bed.
Me too! Fucking little shit.
Stop eating the rubber.
I can hear noises out there. I'm just like, my dog is just getting into something. I fucking lost my train of thought now.
Well, here's a question. You said, you weren't sure how to use it initially and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you still made the right decision?
Oh, 100 million %. So once I learned it was like, holy crap, I saw the value of this thing. But yeah, when I was first learning it, it was real confusing just because of, having to know what the names for everything was. So because I didn't use hard gear before this, I sort of jumped straight into it. I didn't know what a, PV head was or an amp head. I didn't know what a rectifier was or a Marshall. I had no idea about any of this stuff, right? I just knew that I liked distorted guitar. I didn't know. So once you start researching that and blah, 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 you're like, oh, I'm using this head with this cabinet. Oh, I'm using this impulse response. I'm using, this EQ chain, and you start, this distortion pedal before the preamp and blah, 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 and you start figuring it all out. The sheer capabilities of making so many different tones is so at your hands and very, very quick. Like, it's like you have a roadie that can just like move at the speed of light and unplug fucking things and plug things back in and change your tone around and all your, you see these dudes rock up the gigs with all these foot pedals and and they're tap dancing on stage and it's real distracting. Yeah, like I'll have one foot pedal and it'll be like a MIDI controller and I can just change my preset and it's like I've got a completely different cab, a completely different amp, a completely different tone. And for someone that's a producer like myself, the creativity that unlocks for being able to have that not being held back by any gear or any physical, your PV amp fucking 5150 or whatever is fucking sick, like, but it does what it does. It's a sick rhythm distortion and that's all you're going to get out of it. And obviously the clean tone, but you're not really going to change what it does all that much, obviously. And then if you do, you got to change the cab and you got to grab a whole nother cab and put it in. And there's so many different bloody things you got to do.
And that means that you wouldn't want to do it like you'd be refraining from doing something like that on live because you're like, oh, I can't actually go and do this creatively. I can't do what I want, switch between this and this instantly.
And then you got to buy like, Digitech drop pedals if you want to, change tunings. It's like, you listen to our band, man. It's really insane when you think about it. I don't think you and I have really even put this into perspective here because we're producers. We literally go from drop B, drop A, drop G, drop F, drop E in one set, guys. One set. We had changed tunings that many times.
It's ridiculous.
So when you listen to our band, you're like, holy crap, like our music is so freaking on the spectrum, sounds a bit wrong, but it's just everywhere, bro. You're just like, what? That's why the bands, they go, oh, we play drop C and they just fucking stay in drop C because it's easy for them, But where we have that two producers in the band and we're very creative and we just go, no, I want to make an A sharp song. I want to make a drop G song. Like, we just do it. We don't care. And then we figure it out later. And then it's sick. So you got the drop effects of Axe effects as well. You can drop tune, and the drop tune's really good up to about
brilliant
4 semitones, and is really good. Anything after that, you start getting a bit warpy. But about 4 semitones, you can go up or down, which is 8 semitones in total that you can pick from that sound like fucking mint as. So that's really cool having that freedom. And it's really about just having the freedom to be able to have the song go into like a flanger, phaser, reverbed out, delayed, clean tone, playing for like a bridge or an intro, and then just stomping on your foot, and then you've just got a heavy guitar amp, cab tone instantly within not even 1 second. Having that, and then the functionality of being able to just, I'm pointing at it like you could fucking see, of being able to hold this box in your hand, like you just literally just pick up this box and you just walk and you just go, here's an XLR, Mr. Frontman, and then you go, here's another XLR to the cab, and you can run a cab and front of house simultaneously. And you got on-stage sound and front-of-house sound, and it's just convenient.
And you can run multiple things through it.
Yeah, and you can blend impulse responses as well. So I can have, when what you do, you can do tricks that you can do in the studio. You can bring that to your live show, which you can't do with a real amp unless you want 2 fucking cabs there, which is crazy. So what most people do in the studio, which is, here's another tip if you are a musician, if you want to have really, really heavy guitar tones, a lot of the time you don't just use 1 amp and 1 cab. You can blend 2 amps and 2 cabs together as if you had 2 guitar players playing the same thing, but you would have them on the same amp, but you would change their cab. And it's the slight difference in the cab, the cabinet, that would make it sound way more fuller, because it's the same amp, so you got the same preamp and the same distortion style that's coming from the amp, but the slight changes in EQ and the EQ curve and the impulse response that's coming from the cab that's unique to that can really make your tone sound fucking full. As I like to do Friedman technique, whatever it is, where you have
Friedman.
You have the darker tone mixed with a brighter tone, and you blend both of them in.
That's what we got these mics for.
Yeah, there's Shure SM57s, right? So you usually do it with those, with 2 of them, and you have the one on the cone piece and one on like a 45-degree angle. So you can do that in a split second with just choosing a darker impulse response and then a brighter impulse response and blend it in on Axe effects, and now you've just got like a thick as fuck tone. Turn that to stereo, send it out of left and right, and then you chuck the front of house, and you've just got like, if that was understandable. But
I think you're right. It's just like the amount that I've seen of customizing that you can do to each and every single tiny little part of the process, from guitar input all the way through to output, is quite crazy to think about.
And we're running 2 instruments through it too, guys. So we're running the bass through it as well.
Yeah.
Well, it has how many
That's
inputs?
what I touched on before.
It's got 4.
Yeah, so you can run fair bit through it, and vocals and all sorts.
Yeah, if you wanted to, you could do a vocal chain as well, 100%. So yeah, we're running. I got all these effects on it. Like the CPU is really good on it. It's like really I'm got me with a full chain, Morgan with a full chain, and we're only hitting like 80% CPU, which is fucking crazy. We've got 20% room left, and we're running. I'm running pitch shifters on Morgan's bass to get him to the right tuning. Pitch shifter on my guitar, amps, cabs, EQs, compressors, like all of that, and then we run. Morgan out of his Atom foot pedal, which is we're putting that later in the chain now. So then, which is should have done that from the start, but it's all a part of learning. You're just like really analyzing as I've been learning about mixing, especially because I've been producing for years, but I've only really done the last year dabbled into actually mixing and mastering. And just being like, okay, getting everything right at the source is so important, like way more important than really anything else that comes later, because all the distortion is going to do distortion, all the EQs are going to do EQs, and everything's going to be all well and good, but that's more like being creative and making it unique to you. But in regards to like getting it to sound good, you have to have it right at the source. That means no humming, no frequencies that are being boosted before they get boosted a second time. And with his foot pedal, it's like it's literally grabbing whatever signal is going through the input and it's distorting the living shit out of it and then blending it in with the original DI. So I'm like, if we get a really nice, clean, bassy DI, good high end on it, and then you run it down through the pitch shifter first, so then the pitch shifter's not trying to pitch distort it because it's a polyphonic one, so it hears the pitch and the pitches it in real time. So if it's already distorted before it hits the pitch shifter's going to have a hard time trying to define what key it's in, what note it's hitting.
Yeah.
So you do that first when it's clean. Then on the output from the XFX output 2, you chuck that through the foot pedal, then the foot pedal to front of house. That's a way more better way of doing it. And then you have just the spot on fucking bass guitar. And when we did that, we haven't played any gigs like that yet, but in the future the bass is going to be freaking sick.
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
the importance of knowing exactly what each part of the chain and process is too. So,
and it makes sense. The order is important. You wouldn't chuck the cab before the amp. Like the amp goes first, then it's the cab, and that there's a reason for that.
Yeah, and normally you wouldn't mix it up with real gear because it can only sort of go one way. But when you've got it like this, it's kind of you can just drag and drop, customize everything.
Yes,
it's what I've noticed as well. Like with this with the gear and with the setup that we're using and stuff, we've still got heaps of room to grow with it. Like there's capabilities of having all of the effects and various different parts of the effects and cabs and all the stuff to switch automatically with MIDI. So
yeah, that's
going along
step.
your song, and we've seen bands do it where stuff will just be automated through a computer that sits on the back of stage, and as they're playing the solo, the reverb sort of fades in and out creatively. That's already pre-planned, so you don't have them tap dancing for
that's definitely the high end of it. It's really cool. So when you get to the professional level, what people may not understand is like a live show is a lot like a rehearsed show. It may look like they're just, they're playing the songs and they're just in the moment and they're just freestyling, but a lot of it is actually rehearsed. It's like a dance routine. Like everyone knows where they have to be, what they have to do in that moment, what, dance move or what position you have to be in, what transition you have to do. When you're in the audience and you're watching, it's just a performance. It's a da-da-da-da-da-da all the way to the end. You go bang and you fucking bow. Well, there you go. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But yeah, and with the MIDI stuff like you're talking about, it's like if you were to freestyle and not hit your times right, you could be 2 minutes into the song instead of 3 minutes into the song, and then the reverb starts midiing up, and then if you're not on your timer, you're playing rhythm, and then the reverb starts coming up because you're not meant to be up to that part of that song yet. So it's like you have to hit your keys and be on. That's why we have metronomes and in-ears in our ears, because we're listening to the metronome, and we're almost on that level with what we did with the propaganda show when we did, started with propaganda and we had the intro, and in our ears we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and because we know that that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then you freestyle in between in the sense of like, you go and you just live within the set, but you still have like set markers within that performance that like, okay, in between misfit and suffocate. You know, I know that I'm going to have a 30-second break to talk to the crowd, and then a pad's going to come in and an atmospheric, and I'm going to go, you know, thanks everyone coming out. Da, da, da. And like, it seems like I'm just doing that on the fly, but in reality, we've actually rehearsed that, and we know that I was always going to stop between these two songs.
Exactly.
And it's sick though. It's really cool to have it all planned out.
Yeah,
It's fun to plan it all out.
It is, and I know like
Makes the show fucking flawless too. And you still freestyle in between it. Like, don't get me wrong, there's still that live element of just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, how I'm going to move, how I'm going to jump. I may just randomly get a burst of energy on one of the breakdowns and just start freaking thrashing and like, you know, so there's still the live element, but it's just like structured live. It's like, yeah.
When you got big shows to play and you're playing the same headline show in many places, it's just sort of easy to kind of automate.
Well, it's like when Parkway Drive, he didn't fucking grab that Molotov and throw it at the sign for no reason.
Yeah.
They planned that shit, and they knew they were going to do that. And they knew that in that point in time, they're going to stop playing and he's going to grab a Molotov, fucking throw it.
Yeah.
It's rehearsed. Everything's rehearsed.
Yeah, and pyrotechnics get involved after that as well. So you get like massive explosions on drops and
That's right. I learned a lot of that through obviously the DJing world and watching like big festivals and stuff and seeing all these coordinated lights, visuals, and the DJ songs. And I'm going, how on earth is he supposed to be up there live choosing which songs he's playing and mixing them at various different things, and he's on the same wavelength as the visual guy and light guy every time?
Yeah,
and it's like, no, it's actually not. It's like the only person I've heard of. So there's two ends of this spectrum. There's someone like Zed who plays a pre-structured show from start to finish, mapped out completely. It's all he does is push a couple of buttons and put his hands in the air. He doesn't do shit all up there.
$1 million to do so.
Bro, probably like way more than that. But then there's someone like Armin Van Buren, who's been DJing since the beginning of vinyl and DJs and stuff like that. And he pretty much, for maybe some of the top big festivals, he doesn't. But most of the time he will be mixing live and he has a little messenger chat and sends it to these other guys and saying, I'm playing this song next, I'm doing this.
That's cool.
And they freestyle the visuals. So they're not set visuals. Some of them are because you can cue them in with the start of the song.
In smaller shows, I could definitely appreciate that. That's where it comes in with what type of show are you putting on? Because if we're playing for fucking 20 people, it's like, are we really going to do a big
Well, that's it. And it's like, you might have your real structured version with MIDI and all of this. And then we can do
big festivals and
then you got ones with backing tracks is cool. But if we've got them that we can just trigger after each song and have these stopping points where we can actually freestyle, that's a good way of balancing the crossover, I think. Because there's like, for someone like Zed, there's no room to move. Like if something happens, like he can't just, it's bad. So I think, and like we were saying with the MIDI stuff, what happens if it goes wrong or the computer crashes or there's a little power cut on the stage, which happens all the time, then you look like you don't know what you're doing because you're not used to just playing the songs without all of this stuff. So it's a fine balance, but like if this is how the professionals are doing it, then we've got to start thinking about that now. I even said that with DJing stuff. Like people would ask me, how do I get into DJing? What sort of like gear do I need? And I would say, well,
it doesn't really matter, really.
It doesn't matter because you're just trying to learn the art of it.
And you use house decks most of the time anyway, don't you?
True. But there is something to be said about, for example, the universal decks that everyone uses in clubs are CDJs, pioneer ones, right? Majority of the time until Xenon came out, Xenon DJ. But majority of the time, that's the industry standard. So that's where everything is. So you're better off to learn on that brand of gear. Now, that doesn't happen with live music. Like you don't, yes, you might have a Marshall or a PV or something. There's a few amps that are pretty standard.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that those are the only thing. Like you should just go and get that. I think you can just learn on anything and learn as you go. Which is what we're doing. So it's kind of like it's a real fine balance, and I think there's a lot of fun in finding where that line is. Like
I think people
learning.
The biggest tip you can take away is don't be fucking intimidated, man. Like the reason why it's gonna sound like not cocky, like I think the reason why we achieve so much in regards to our sound and why we're so diverse, and our first EP doesn't reflect it, this new EP will reflect it more when it comes out. You'll be able to hear what we're talking about. But the reason why we achieve so much in regards to soundscape and changing and tunings and everything else is because when me and Jordan look at a challenge, we don't get intimidated. And you see that happen a lot in the industry is like people will just stick to what works because it's easy. And they go, I just plug in my chord there and it makes sound. And there you go. They don't even want to fathom. You don't have to be a producer. Like, you can just learn literally 10% and it'll elevate your music so much. And as an artist, would you not want your music to be elevated? Do you not want your bass to sound fucking better, more grittier, more aggressive, make your guitars sound meaner, fucking like sick high-end crunch to them? Like, why would you want to just be like, just plug it into a PV and that does the job? It's like, how many sound guys have we had to argue with? Yeah. Like, especially fucking me. I'm trying to, like, they don't understand that the fucking Axe effects... Like,
I don't think we've played a show yet.
And the sound guys always argue with me. They're like, "Where's the bass cab?" I'm sorry, where's the bass amp? I'm like, that's there. He's like, you said that's your amp. I'm like, yeah, it's both. He's like, and they just look at me like, just utterly like, what? And I'm like, just fucking plug the XLR in and do your job, you shit cunt. Like, I can do your
step
fucking,
aside, let me do it.
bro. Like, I'm just like, I can do your job better than you. I didn't even study it. Like, fuck off. Like, these cunt, they just like, we need a bass cab and a bass amp because I'm from the 1990s and that is how music is made. Like, motherfuckers, 2022, grow up. Like, technology advanced, dude.
That's true, but these are not premier venues for live gigs.
Yeah, when we start touring with Hyper Veil, maybe we'll be fucking.
Yeah. So these guys have probably been roped into doing.
I want to tour with Northlane, cunt. Fuck.
Yeah,
that'd be fucking awesome.
So that would be
Marcus.
Awesome.
Yeah,
hit me up.
Marcus
Brimage. Whatever his last name is, Bridge or something.
Bridge. I just listened to a podcast he was on yesterday.
Fucking
about his new album. Exciting.
Joey dog.
They pushed back the release too. Not sure why. Head to northlane.com /
Distorted Views.
Distorted Views on tour. Yeah. That's dope. Yeah, cool. So wrapped up about the Axe Effects. Thanks for explaining that. That sounds really cool. Pleased about that. I think that's pretty much us for today.
No more notes, eh?
Well, I've got notes, but they're just other notes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it for us this month.
Good chat.
We're hoping to get someone special on next month to have a chat with, which would be cool.
If you're a vocalist, or you know someone who's a vocalist, hit them up to watch our next podcast coming out after this one because it's going to be a fucking good one.
Yeah, sick.
Really good one.
Otherwise, stay safe.
Yeah.
Have a good one. La-di-da-di-da. Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
See yous.